Top 5 reasons Dogman might not be what you think. All right, let's be real. When most of us hear the name Dogman, what pops into our heads? Probably some overgrown werewolf, right? A big, snarling wolf that just forgot how to stay on all fours. It's a pretty classic horror movie image, something straight out of a B-movie monster flick. But here's the thing. The reports, the eyewitness accounts, the actual files that keep piling up year after year, they just don't match that cartoonish picture we've all got stuck in our heads. Not even close. Tonight, we're gonna pull back the curtain and really dig into 5 specific eyewitness details. These aren't just random observations. They're consistent patterns that completely flip the Dogman legend on its head. We're talking about details that make this creature look a whole lot less like a scruffy Fido and a whole lot more like something that should honestly be occupying a prominent chapter in a biology textbook. Prepare to have your perceptions, and maybe even your sanity, gently re-evaluated. So, picture this for a second. You're cruising down some isolated, winding back road, maybe in the deep woods of northern Wisconsin, or perhaps the misty stretches of Michigan's Upper Peninsula. It's late. The only light comes from your headlights slicing through the dense pines, painting fleeting shadows on the roadside. And then, out of nowhere, a shape steps out. Not a deer, not a bear. This thing is easily 7 feet tall. Its shoulders are broad and square, like a linebacker ready to tackle. And here's the kicker. It doesn't drop to all fours. It just stands there, perfectly upright, turns its head slowly, and gives you a grin. Yeah, a grin. In that heart-stopping moment, you're not looking at a dog, not a wolf, not anything you'd expect to see in the wild. You're looking at something that walks, stands, and communicates in ways that are eerily similar to you. It's unsettling, to say the least. Keep watching, because the next few minutes are going to make you seriously question if we've been barking up the wrong tree about this whole Dogman phenomenon all along. What if everything we thought we knew was just a convenient, but ultimately misleading, cover story? Bipedal swagger. Let's kick things off with the first major red flag, the one that really starts to unravel the whole giant wolf theory. The gait. Time and time again, drivers, hikers, and even terrified homeowners describe a creature that stands and walks upright for incredibly long stretches. Think about it. A wolf can rear up on its hind legs for a split second, maybe to get a better view or sniff the air, but it's not built for sustained bipedal movement. Bears can shuffle a few yards on 2 legs, sure, but it's an awkward, lumbering motion, a temporary shift. This thing? Witnesses say it strides. It walks with purpose, often described as having almost locked knees, a distinct heel-to-toe pattern, much like a person who's late for work and really needs to get somewhere. One logger, working near Luther, Michigan, recounted watching it cover a good 50 feet of logging road without ever once dropping back to 4 legs. That's not a temporary stance. That's a primary mode of locomotion. Now, let's talk biology for a second. Primates, especially those that spend time on the ground, evolved that exact upright posture for very specific reasons: to see over tall grass, to carry food or offspring, or even to use their hands for other tasks. Their skeletal structure, their muscle arrangement, everything about them is geared for it. A canine, on the other hand, would have to fundamentally fight against its own spine, its own musculature, to maintain that kind of upright stance for any significant period. It's simply not how they're built. Add to that the fact that some tracks found reportedly show a longer heel impression than any wolf print you'd ever see, and suddenly, the whole dog theory isn't just limping, it's practically hobbling to a halt. The evidence consistently points away from a typical canid and towards something far more adapted for an upright existence. Hands, not paws. Moving right along to the second detail that consistently keeps popping up in these reports, and it's a big one. It had thumbs. Think about that for a moment. A deputy outside of Bangor, Maine, described watching the creature scoop up a dead raccoon, not swatting it, not nudging it, but scooping it up with what he vividly remembered as black, leathery fingers, not paws. This isn't just a minor distinction. It's a game changer. What do thumbs allow us to do? What do opposable digits give primates? They allow for incredible dexterity. They let us open doors, climb rafters, peel fruit, manipulate tools. The list goes on. Wolves, bless their wild hearts, can't grasp. Their paws are purpose-built for sprinting on snow, for digging, for powerful impacts during a chase. They're not designed for fine motor skills or intricate manipulation. So, if witnesses are consistently seeing opposable digits, if they're reporting hands instead of paws, we are absolutely not dealing with some bizarre canine mutation. We're looking at an animal that grips and manipulates in the way monkeys, apes, and yes, humans do. Once you make that mental switch, once you picture hands instead of paws, suddenly a whole host of other reports start making unnerving sense. We hear about Dogman opening coop latches with surprising finesse, scaling porch railings with ease, or even carrying deer carcasses slung over one shoulder like a backpack. Feats that are utterly impossible for a creature with conventional paws. This isn't just about grabbing. It's about control, manipulation, and a level of intelligence implied by such capabilities. It suggests a creature far more advanced in its interaction with its environment than any typical canid. The grin. Okay, let's talk about the third unsettling quirk, and this one really gets under your skin. Witnesses swear it smiles. Not a snarl, not a pant, not a baring of teeth in aggression. An actual curl of the lips that exposes razor-sharp, white teeth. This isn't just a fleeting expression. It's often described as deliberate, almost contemplative. Again, let's turn to the animal kingdom. When a wolf shows its teeth, it's a pretty universal sign of aggression. A clear, back off, or you're in trouble. It's a warning, a threat display. But a primate grin? That's a whole different ballgame. Primates use that expression for an incredibly complex range of communication. Submission, curiosity, even outright mockery. Chimps might grin when they're nervous. Macaques might grin to diffuse tension or signal a lack of threat. It's a nuanced social signal. Multiple campers in the UP described the creature swaying slightly, head tilted, lips pulled tight in this unsettling grin. A stance that's eerily similar to a low-ranking baboon testing the limits of a new troop, or a chimp assessing a new situation. If Dogman is indeed packing primate body language, then that grin isn't necessarily a threat in the way we'd interpret a wolf snarl. It could be a greeting, a challenge, or even a display of dominance that's far more subtle and, frankly, 10 times creepier because it implies a deeper, more complex intelligence. It's not just an animal. It's a being that understands social cues on a level we usually reserve for ourselves and our closest primate relatives. The sheer psychological impact of being grinned at by something like this is probably something you never truly recover from. Clacking teeth. Now for the fourth consistent pattern, and this one is purely auditory. People hear a sharp, deliberate clacking, not just howling. Imagine this. A seasoned hunter sitting dead still in a deer blind at dusk hears a sound that makes the hair on his neck stand up. It's not a twig snapping, not a squirrel chattering. It's a loud, rhythmic clack, clack, clack of teeth echoing from the thicket below. It sounds intentional, like a warning. It's a chilling sound. Think about the threat displays of a wolf. They growl, they snarl, they show you their teeth. But they don't typically make a loud, percussive sound by rapidly snapping their jaw shut. That specific behavior is a hallmark of primates. Many primates, from macaques to baboons, use rapid, audible teeth clacking as a clear intimidation display. It's an aggressive signal, a step up from a simple stare down. It's a way of saying, I see you, and I am not happy you are here, without having to expend the energy on a full-blown charge. It's a calculated, psychological tactic. A large primate with a dog-like muzzle would be able to generate an incredibly loud and unnerving clack with its powerful jaw muscles. It's a sound designed to stop you in your tracks, to broadcast dominance across a territory. So when you hear that sound echoing through the dark, it isn't just a random animal noise. It's a primate, like creature using its anatomy as a tool for communication, a tool of intimidation. It's another piece of evidence that speaks not to a simple canine, but to a creature with a complex and frankly terrifying social rule book. Climbing houses. And finally, the fifth and perhaps most damning eyewitness habit that really seals the deal on our primate hypothesis. Vertical escape. This creature's ability to climb. Dogs, even agile ones, get stuck on low roofs sometimes, looking bewildered. Bears can climb, sure, but they usually need a tree with some purchase, a sturdy trunk to shimmy up. Dogman. It scrambles up houses like a squirrel, with an almost unbelievable agility for its size. Take the family in central Minnesota who woke to frantic thumps on their shingles. They grabbed a flashlight, shone it up, and saw a dark silhouette dangling over their gutter, seemingly effortlessly. It then dropped 10 feet to the ground, landed upright on its feet without missing a beat, and jogged off into the darkness. That's not canine behavior. That's not even typical bear behavior. Primates, however, evolved with incredibly specialized anatomical features precisely for that kind of maneuver. We're talking about rotating ankles, grasping toes, powerful limbs, and shoulder structures designed for arboreal life. Think of a macaque launching itself off a temple wall, or a chimpanzee scaling a tree with incredible speed. It's the same physics, the same biomechanical principles at play. If this creature can chimney crawl between two closely spaced trees, or scale a two-story cabin wall with such ease, it's almost certainly carrying primate hardware under all that fur. No wolf on Earth, no matter how big or strong, can replicate that kind of vertical, climbing prowess. It's a clear indicator that we're dealing with something fundamentally different from any known canid. So, if any of these details, the bipedal stride, the human-like hands, the unsettling grin, the clacking teeth, or the impossible climbing, resonate with something you've seen or experienced, please, I urge you, drop your story in the comments below. This channel thrives because viewers like you are brave enough to share your encounters, to contribute to this growing body of evidence. Your perspective is invaluable, and if you're finding this deep dive as fascinating as I am, do yourself a favor. Hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. That way, you won't miss our next episode. Let's add it all up, shall we? We've got reports of upright mile-long walks that defy canine anatomy. We have eyewitnesses describing hands with thumbs that can grasp and manipulate, not just paws. There are accounts of facial expressions, actual grins that seem pulled straight from a primate communication textbook. We've heard the chilling sounds of teeth clacking as a deliberate warning. And then there's the incredible, almost Spider-Man-esque climbing skills that no canid could ever hope to achieve. Every sensational headline screams werewolf, dog monster, or some other variation of a supernatural canine. But when you look at the fine print, when you really dig into the consistent details provided by terrified, yet credible eyewitnesses, the picture that keeps emerging is of an animal that acts an awful lot like a big, incredibly clever and territorial monkey. Maybe that's why trail cams so often catch blurs instead of clear bodies. Perhaps these primate-like creatures are intelligent enough to recognize lenses and actively avoid them. Maybe that's why some of the howls carry a human-like cadence, a complex vocalization that doesn't sound quite like a wolf. Perhaps they're not howls at all, but long-range calls, much like the haunting echoes of gibbons communicating across a dense forest. It completely changes the scope of what we're looking for, doesn't it? So, next time you find yourself alone under a canopy of ancient pines, and the night suddenly goes quiet, leaving you with nothing but the sound of your own breath, ask yourself this: are you truly sharing the woods with some fantastical fairy tale wolf? Or are you, perhaps, in the presence of a flesh-and-bone primate that has simply learned, with unnerving proficiency, how to stay hidden from our prying eyes? Let me know where you stand after tonight's list. And until the next video, keep your eyes level with the tree line and your flashlight close. You never know what might be watching.